Good morning. Today we are picking up a couple of front country miles as a point-to-point with our friend Hitch. We had originally had a scheme to do a smallish point-to-point backpacking trip. Some trail closures and a not pleasant weather forecast convinced us to cancel the backpack and do day hiking. We have had pretty significant downpours every day that we've been here in the late afternoon, and it's just not fun to be soaking wet and cold in the backcountry, especially when you got to carry your wet gear out the next day. Today we are hiking the Grebe Lake Trail. This is going to head out toward the Cascade Lake Trail. From there we're going to do an out and back to Cascade Lake to meet up with our previous footsteps from a few years ago, and then we're going to head back west toward the Wolf Lake Trail. All in all, it'll be about 13 miles. I didn't remember snow lingering, and it oh, that's steeper than I thought. So the trails we're hiking today are a string of lakes that connect to each other through the Howard Eaton Trail, which is also called the Cascade Lake Trail around here. This is in the canyon area of the park. So there's Cascade Lake, Grebe Lake, Wolf Lake, and Ice Lake. Today we saw the first three. We actually parked a car at the Wolf Lake trailhead and then took another car to the Grebe Lake trailhead. The trail from Grebe Lake was lovely. It was about 2 miles of like the smoothest, flattest trail we've seen in Yellowstone out to the lake. From there we picked up the Howard Eaton Trail, went over to Cascade Lake, backtracked, and then kept going to Wolf Lake. The lakes were all pretty, nothing spectacular, but nice. We saw swans on them, some ducks, saw an osprey flying. We saw a ton of scat of both the bear and moose variety, but none of those animals. We also did a little side trip out to where the Gibbon River crosses on the way to Ice Lake, just to try to connect to where we've been before. Tons of options for here for easy day hikes. You could just go to Grebe Lake and back. That would be about 4 miles, 4 to 6 miles, and very flat and easy. You can also go further down the road and actually pick up the Cascade Lake Trail, or you can access Cascade Lake from the Grebe Lake trailhead like we did and just hike out there and then head back to your car. Wolf Lake, it's probably easiest to access from this Wolf Lake Trail that we're currently finishing. And if you do want to go to Wolf Lake or connect all of the trails the way we did, you'll need to plan on at least one creek ford. Otherwise, you can kind of hop on some logs or rocks, but there was one big one. All in all, this is a great area of Yellowstone to explore. It's very wildernessy. You have a decent chance of seeing wildlife, but it's also very accessible, very easy to follow, well blazed, mostly well graded, and also very close to popular places to stay. So if you're camping or are staying in the canyon area, this is very close to your hotel. It's also pretty close to the Norris area if you're camping down there. And just in general, if you want to see some mountain, lakes, and forests, this is about the most accessible place that we have found in Yellowstone for you to do that. We are setting out for our last hike in Yellowstone National Park, coming across a very, very giant pile of bear scat, and generally heading out for the day. Really just for the morning. We are just hiking about 6 or 7 miles today before we part ways with Hitch. We are heading south and east toward home, and he is heading north back up to Glacier to meet up with his family and vacation there with them for a little bit longer. It's been a good visit to Yellowstone. Weird. We knew it would be weird just because we were managing being with lots of different family members and friends and weird weather conditions or unpleasant weather conditions. But all together, we're going to get just about 40 miles of new trail here. And we really hiked just a little bit over 40 miles total. So it has been a very efficient visit to the park. And despite the threat of rain, we've actually had to deal with relatively little of it. Today we're hiking the Solfatara Creek Trail. This runs close to the northern loop of the Figure 8 near the Norris area. So it really runs pretty well along the road. And it's been a trail that has looked easy to get for a long time. But for a variety of reasons, we haven't hiked it. So I'm pretty excited to be able to knock it off our list today and mark it green and move on to the next thing once we're done. Well, our Yellowstone hike ended rather uneventfully, or at least not in an exciting way. We got caught eventually in enough of a rain shower that we really just put our heads down and finished the hike. We were all in such a rush to head out that we just said a goodbye real quick. We didn't even take a selfie together today or yesterday, which is really rare. But it was still a really good week. And we are making our way south and east. So before we just completely say goodbye to all of these magical places, we decided to go ahead and drive south from Yellowstone to here so that we could see what the mountains looked like today. We enjoyed a giant plate of nachos from our favorite restaurant in the park and are just taking in some of these views while we drive. We're gonna do some souvenir shopping real quick at the gift shop and then make our way east for a couple of nights. We have some work to try to take care of in Casper. And then we have one more mini adventure with some new family members that you haven't seen before popping up in South Dakota. So that's the plan for us as we wrap up our summer adventures.
It's not that bad, really.
This is like the warmest water we've been in.
Honestly, this would have been a really good creek for you to take your shoes off in, because it's totally flat sand.
Yeah. I was like, where's the bridge?
I don't think there is one.
Well, there's a blaze on the tree. And there's trail. Oh,
Yeah, I got all the mud off of my shoes.
yeah.
You have to get a hotel room again so you can use the hook lamp.